Adam, it's lovely to see you.
You too.
The book is hilarious. I mean, the stories are unbelievable, and I know they're true, but they're unbelievable, and it's funny, and you laugh, and then at the end, it's like a kick in the stomach, really, for your reasons for leaving. It's actually makes it really powerful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's the honest version of what it's like to be a junior doctor. A lot of the time, it's sad, but a lot of the time it is funny. You have to look for the glimmers of light amongst the dark, and there's a lot of high-octane stuff. I worked on labour wards, but there's a lot of petty bureaucracy as well, because it's the NHS. And I don't disguise what the job is. It's a mixture of all those things.
It's so hard. I mean, the thing that comes out of this is how hard you all work, you know, and how tough it is, and who looks after you. Because that's the thing, you spent your whole time, I mean, in this, you spend your whole time looking after other people and really helping them and saving lives and doing all of that, but there doesn't seem to be anybody looking after you guys.
I think there's an old-fashioned feeling that you're just a doctor and you get on with it. And doctors are human. I think when the doctors were coming under fire, when the strikes happened, people forgot that each doctor is just a human. You don't want to think your doctor is being too human.
I know.
Because, you know, they're reading your MRI result, you want them to be absolutely sort of infallible and perfect, like, you know, God or Google. But they are people who get ill and get sad and make mistakes and, you know, can't survive the 97-hour weeks, week after week, or coming home 3 hours late because of an unexpected emergency, and there's no slack in the system to help you. So it isn't an easy job.
What made you leave? Was there one incident that made you leave, or was it an accumulation?
There was, and on labour ward, the height of the highs, obviously it's often the most amazing specialty, is set off by the depth of the lows, and you always want there to be a healthy mum and a healthy baby leaving labour ward, and I had a day where we ended up with neither, and I just didn't have the emotional exoskeleton, I guess, to deal with having such a bad day at work. And we all have bad days at work, but when the stakes are so high, it was just too much for me. And you don't necessarily realise when you apply to medical school, when you're a teenager, no one checks that you're psychologically, you know, up for the job. And I suspect if I'd gone for not an easier specialty, but at least one that's more sort of desk-based, outpatiency, I might still be a doctor. But for the traumas of labour ward, when labour wards go wrong, that ended up being the reason I left.
You know, that I was saying about there's nobody looking after you. That's the trouble. That's the difficulty. You talk in your book about the fact that you wanted to see Jeremy Hunt, who's the health secretary. You did get to meet him. What was his response when you put all of these concerns to him?
He started off being very warm and kind and empathetic, but I just kept asking him the questions, and eventually he snapped and was really riled by me, you know, asking difficult questions, asking why retention is so bad, asking why he did what he did during the doctors' dispute. And by the end, I realised he was just defiant and unrepentant and not particularly interested. I don't think we'll be swapping Christmas cards, unfortunately.
And you didn't really get anywhere, which is very sad, because you're at the coalface. You know what it's like.
I do, but bear in mind that a couple of months ago, he got into a fight with Stephen Hawking about statistics, so he's probably unlikely to have his mind changed by one junior doctor recounting what it's actually like. But the decisions that get made up in the echelons, these abstract decisions, have real implications, which mean lives are lost. And it's not a great exaggeration to say that people like him who make decisions like he's done have blood on their hands, because patients die when working conditions are affected and patient safety is affected. And ministers don't realise that. They go around brand new wards with the fewest, illest patients in them. They don't see what it means to be a junior doctor, which is to see cancer patients being palliated in their final days and see dead babies being delivered, because that's what the job is.
Do you know what? What we must do is put all of what you said to him, because obviously he needs a right to reply, which is what we'll do. Because this is hugely, hugely important.
Yeah.
Do you miss it at all? Having said all of that, and all of the things that have happened, do you ever actually miss it?
I do miss it desperately. I miss the reason that I applied to medical school in the first place, which is wanting to help people.
Yeah.
And I would drive home routinely 3 hours late, and I'd be covered in blood, and I'd have the radio blaring the window wound right down just so I could stay awake to get home alive. And yet I still had a smile on my face, because, you know, if you've delivered a dozen babies that shift, or you've helped parents in infertility clinic who 50 years ago would have had no chance of conceiving, it's the most amazing job in the world. It's a real, real privilege.
Do you know, it's amazing from what we've talked about. the book is really funny. I mean, there's a lot.
Oh yeah, I've made it sound quite harrowing.
No, which is fine. That's your, that's where you're coming from. But it is actually a real insight into what it's like to be a doctor in the NHS now. It's a cracking read. It
So
really
kind,
is.
thank
It's called
you.
This Is Going to Hurt by Adam Kay. And it's a shame that we lost you to that. But then we gained you as a comedian. So thank you.
Thank you so
indeed, Adam.
much.
Thank